Welcome to the St. John Genealogy Project webcast. Today we will be exploring some lesser-known aspects of the St. John family, uncovering their fascinating stories and ancestral connections. Episode 2: The Ancestry of Agnes Cantilupe. The accepted narrative for the Deport St. John and Cantilupe family of Fonmon Castle says this castle was acquired by the St. John family through the Umfreville family when an Elizabeth Umfreville married a St. John. As I showed in episode 1, John St. John of Penmark, Elizabeth Umfreville Deport St. John is a fictional character made up by Harold Richard St. George in the 16th century when he tried to reverse engineer his wife's ancestry by co-opting the ancestry of the St. John family of Penmark. What historians failed to identify when researching the correct ancestry for this Deport St. John family was the correct Umfreville and Cantilupe families in Glamorgan, Wales. According to Douglas Richardson and others, Agnes Cantilupe was the daughter of William Cantilupes of Eaton Bray and Millicent Gorney. The British History website makes it perfectly clear that there is a lot of merging going on with various men named William Cantilupe. The WikiTree pages trying to follow the various claims really show its ridiculousness, as it caters to Douglas Richardson's claim for Agnes without him doing any extensive research on the families of Glamorgan, Wales, and his lack of concern for the fact that there were two prominent St. John families living in Glamorgan, Wales. According to the British History website, William Cantilupe married first Maslin, the daughter of Aldulf de Bracy, who held Eton from 1173 onwards, and secondly he married Millicent, the daughter of Hugh de Gorney. William Cantilupe held Eaton Bray until his death in 1254, when he was succeeded by an heir described as a boy named George, not quite 3. George Cantilupe attained his majority in 1273, but died the same year, leaving as co-heirs his sisters Millicent, the wife of Udo Zouch, and Joan, widow of Henry de Hastings. Nowhere does this document state Agnes Cantilupe St. John Tuberville was his sister and co-heir with his other sisters in 1273, and we know Agnes was alive until 1276. The custom was that if a property had no male heir, all the sisters inherited equally. This is how property ended up getting split into moieties. If Agnes was a sister living in 1276, then she should have been named in 1273 as an heir to Eaton Bray. Furthermore, Douglas Richardson is the source that places George and his two sisters, Millicent and Joan, as the children of William Cantilupe and Eve de Bracy instead, contradicting the British History website. I don't currently have the time to sort out all this merging, but what I know is none of it fits the ancestry of Agnes Cantilupe, Deport St. John. Robert Deport St. John died in 1265, and there is no record of him holding Fonmon or really being in Glamorgan, Wales. He was from Basing in Hampshire. The first record this family held Fonmon was when Robert and Agnes's son William, Lord of Fonmon, deeded lands in East Aberthal to his brother Philip. In 1289, William was identified as one of the landholders of Glamorgan concerning an agreement between Gilbert de Clare and Neath Abbey. In the last episode, I introduced the family tree found in the manuscript The Ancestors of My Lord Herbert that identified Roger Umfreville of Penmark as the father-in-law of William Cantilupe of Candlestown. Candlestown Castle is near Bridgend in South Wales and was not part of the parish of Penmark. This record explicitly identifies the family of Candlestown as Cantilupe. Records for Philip Nearbeard also explicitly link him to Candlestown, that he inherited from his father, William de Nearbeard. When William inherited Candlestown, following the death of his father, Hopkyn ap Hywel, he assumed the Cantilupe name, so that his son Philip kept using Nearbeard, but his daughter Agnes used Cantilupe. What most St. John researchers have known and agreed upon is that Agnes Cantilupe, the daughter of William Cantilupe, married Robert de Port St. John of Basing. It was Robert and Agnes's two sons, William, Lord of Fonmon, and Philip, who were named in the circa 1290 deed related to Fonmon Castle, showing this family held possession of Fonmon in Aberthal, while Gilbert Umfreville still held the forefees of Penmark. The problem with this ancestry for Agnes is that it is not aligned with claims made by Douglas Richardson, whereby he places her as the daughter of another William Cantilupe and his wife Millicent de Brassey. Not only does this claim fail to explain how the de Port St. Johns acquired Fonmon, but it seems to directly contradict the known facts about the heirs of that other family. Family Search has a feature on their website to search genealogies. These genealogies are a combination of member-submitted trees and trees built by their volunteers from records and books and other collections they have acquired. They have several trees for Welsh families based on their having scanned records found in archives and libraries across the globe. These are found by filtering the genealogies down to what are called community trees. One family they have documented is William Cantilupe and his Umfreville wife, Maud or Mabel. Both the Golden Grove pedigrees and Peter Bartram documented that William Cantilupe was the man that married the Umfreville heiress. These sources call her Maud, but that is a variation of Mabel. The version found in a deed related to Hossie de Lange, her granddaughter, used Mabel. The problem with these family tree creations is that records were not dated, so they may include factual relationships, but the assemblers of the data do not do the complementary research to verify generational and time period placement, so the tree is off by around 150 to 200 years in many places. With the help of the other records, I have been able to assemble the family tree for this family and put them in the correct period. These community trees also help me realize that the ancestors of William Cantilupe were the ancestors to numerous families listed in the land surveys, supporting the idea the entire Glamorgan Wales area was at one time a single fee given to the Umfreville family. In following those lineages, I realized both William Cantilupe and his wife Mabel descended from Robert the Beard Umfreville, but the records named Robert as Sir Robert Dunsterville Knight. It seems several other researchers have connected Dunsterville to Umfreville and recognized them as phonetic spellings intended to represent the same family, and the article D became part of the surname, like Apries became Price. In 1176, William de Nearbeard, also known as William ap Hopkyn Cantilupe, held the forefees of Aberthal. He was succeeded by his son Philip sometime before 1245, and from the 1290 deed of William de Port St. John, we know that a portion of these properties went to the de Port St. John family. What's also interesting is that the extent of Glamorgan recorded Philip de Nearbeard, the son of William Cantilupe, held the fourth part of the lordship of Llancarfan. The lordship of Llancarfan was documented as being 4,500 acres in the 1262 Dispenser survey. When I totaled up the lands that I knew went to the de Port St. John's and those that remained with Philip de Nearbeard, and two other properties in the area, I was able to get a sum of 4,500 acres in the land directly north and west of the forefees of Penmark. So now, in addition to identifying Roger Umfreville of Penmark, I was able to correct more of the Umfreville tree by going back to Robert Umfreville and his daughter, also inheriting portions of Glamorgan Wales upon her marriage to Robert Cantilupe. His son, Odinel I, I explained in episode 1, was probably the namesake of Odin's fee that passed to Roger, his son, and then to Roger's son, Odinel II, and his daughter Mabel Umfreville, who married her second cousin once removed, William Cantilupe. What this behavior shows us is that even though the surnames change, the land still split and recombine through the generations when cousins marry. In episode 1, I explained that Fonmon in 1346 was held by a man named Thomas Ab Aaron, the sheriff of Glamorgan. Now that we have identified the correct William Cantilupe, it becomes clear who Thomas Ab Aaron was. He was William's cousin. Thomas Ab Aaron was allowed to live at Fonmon when the Deport St. John's went to England because it was his family's property. What this assures us is that Agnes Cantilupe was the daughter of William ap Hopkin de Neerbeard Cantilupe and his wife Mabel Umfreville, and that she is the Agnes Cantilupe that married Robert Deport St. John of Basing, and they are the parents of William St. John of Fonmon in circa 1290. And because of this, we now know that we have no reason to accept the creation of the fictitious Elizabeth Umfreville, because we can now clearly see that Fonmon came from Mabel Umfreville instead. Now it's clear to see that William Deport St. John of Fonmon descends directly from Adam Deport of Basing, and that he inherited Fonmon from his mother, Agnes Cantilupe. What we also know now is that this William Deport St. John was a double heir of Robert Umfreville, in so much that he descended from two cousin lines. This provides us adequate assurance that there is no reason for the Deport St. Johns to take the ancestry of John St. John of Penmark. The timeline for Fonmon Castle is pretty simple. It is first recorded in 1166 as part of the Four Fees of Aberthaw, held by William ap Hopkin de Neerbeard Cantilupe. Before 1245, the Four Fees of Aberthaw passed to Philip de Neerbeard, Agnes Cantilupe's brother. And at some point, Agnes or her son William inherited a portion of the Four Fees of Aberthaw, and they acquired Fonmon Castle in East Aberthaw before 1290. In 1305, Thomas, the son of Philip, St. John, married Felicia, the daughter of Hamlin of Fonmon. I have no idea who Hamlin of Fonmon is, by the way. And inherited lands in Lanthbury from his mother. Then in between 1270 and 1310, probably closer to 1310, Richard Abel, the chaplain of Fonmon, confirms a deed for Henry, the son of William, to Philip, the grantee of the deed back in 1290, and that Philip, was the uncle of Henry. Then, in 1346, Fonmon is inhabited by Thomas Ab Aaron, the cousin of William Cantilupe. Then, in 1395, John Deport St. John and his wife Isabella Paulette, the widow of John de Pavely, get married, and the king grants them lands, and that includes the lands in Glamorgan. So it appears that there was some kind of disconnect in the family, that everything went to the St. John's and then left the St. John's, and then by 1395 came back to the St. John's through marriage again. And in the intermediate time, the Cantilupe family reclaimed Fonmon. Then in 1429, in the survey, Oliver Deport St. John was listed as holding Fonmon with other properties. It's not clear that he lived there because his wife and him lived in England. Between 1460 and 1490, there was a survey done, and Fonmon was not mentioned again in this visitation of Wales. The only St. John family in Wales between 1460 and 1490 was John St. John of Penmark. The same was true in 1531 when William Fellows did a visitation and also identified only John St. John of Penmark. Then in 1654, the St. John's of Lydiard Tregoes in England sold Fonmon to Philip Jones, and he bought Fonmon Castle and the land cattle farmlands. And as of today, Fonmon is still held by the Jones family.